panel discussion. And our next panel discussion is building a supply chain for the Indian private sector platform manufacturers. May I request our session moderator, Lieutenant General Sanjay Verma, PVSM, AVSM, VSM, Batu VSM, former Director, General Capability Development, Indian Army, to please join us on the stage. He has deep insight and exposure to EPIC's decision-making processes and an intimate knowledge and understanding of functioning of government and international bodies, besides possessing a wide overview of national strategy building think tanks both within the country and internationally. He is a combat paratrooper and served in varied staff and operational environments both within the country and abroad, including United Nations peacekeeping mission. May I request our panelists to join us on the stage, Mr. Robert John, CEO and Director, Amphenol Interconnect India, to please join us. Mr. Subramanya Ullal, Member Board of Directors, SASMOS Head Technologies Limited. Mr. Ankur Gupta, Director of Strategy, International and Industrial Partnerships, Airbus Defence and Space. Brigadier Dr. Ganesan Muthukumar, SMVSM, PhD, FIE, Strategic Advisor, to please join us on the stage. Over to our Lieutenant General Sanjay Verma.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know I am holding you all for the lunch, but let me tell you that while we have discussed so many issues, the acid test lies in making things happen. Things happen because of a good global supply chain. I am reminded of a number of times when people have asked me, what are the two important things when you're looking at any platform, any defense network or something like that? I draw an analogy with the human body. I said I am interested in owning the nervous system, the brain. If I'm looking at a missile, I'm interested in the sensor, in the seeker. You can make the body, but what is of interest to me, what I should own, is the nervous system. And the second is the spinal cord, which runs and distributes the entire network from the brain to every sensory organ. Now, if this spinal cord is not working properly, nothing will work. A spinal cord is something like a global supply chain for any industry. If this supply chain is not working properly, things are not going to shape up or happen in the way you've been thinking. So global supply chain or supply chain for any industry is like the Achilles heel. You correct that, you got everything in order. Now, we are talking about looking at today at building resilient supply chain. Not only resilient supply chains, we are also looking at diversification of these supply chains. We have to have redundancy in these supply chains, especially in the emerging geopolitical global world order. Do I have any trusted allies? Do I have any trusted industry where disruption will never be there? So this becomes one of the most important things in any industry. How do you safeguard against disruptions? You can build up redundancy, you can build up issue after issue or alternative after alternative. Where does it pinch you? It pinches you on your cost. It pinches on the effort. It pinches on the delivery times. So there has to be, you have to strike a balance. How do you safeguard? How do you build a good, resilient supply chain? Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you that the panel sitting out here is a very distinguished panel who are industry leaders in their own right. Many of them you know very well. Mr. Robert D. John, Director and CEO, Amphenol. I think this is one industry which everybody knows, not only spread in India, but the world over. And looking at the product line, the supply chain criticality for them, one doesn't have to say much. Along with him is Mr. Subramanya Ullal, member, Board of Directors, SASMOS, HET Technologies. Again, the type of technologies or type of products which we are seeing coming from SASMOS is something which makes the nation proud. Then I have Mr. Ankur Gupta, who is Director of Strategy, International and Industrial Partnerships at Airbus. Now, I think Airbus is organization which has got footprints world over. So they would be the best to actually see how the global supply chain can keep functioning. And last but not the least, I have on the panel a supply chain expert of the Defense Forces, Brigadier Dr. Ganesan Muthukumar, who is presently a strategic advisor with the IITM Pravartak. So over the next about 40-45 minutes, since we are already behind schedule, we will be discussing about the intricacies, the vagaries, the dynamics of supply chain, how they apply to your organization, and how do we safeguard against disruptions. So what I will do is, I'll just briefly introduce the dynamics or the challenges of the defense supply chain. Once that is put in the context, and these are not only to the defense, it is particular to all. So for that, I will invite Dr. Muthukumar, Brigadier Muthukumar, and then open up with all the three industry leaders. Brigadier Muthu, may I request you to share your perspective, having headed the supply chain vertical in the College of Defense Management and being a practitioner for the past 40 years in the uniform. What are the dynamics, challenges when we look at the defense supply chains? You want to go on the dais? Okay. I would request you to restrict yourself to 5 minutes. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure, privilege to be in such an august audience. So, sir, thanks. The point is here, with what all has happened, I have tried to curate my little tidbits a little differently. That IITM Pravartak is a Section 8 company curated and supported by METI and various governmental initiatives and grants to bring together the industry, academia and the users in one platform. Now that actually brings the supply chain closer. So here the important part is that the subject of today's topic extends a lot beyond manufacturing. Raju Goyal sir, I wouldn't have thought that I will get this opportunity, and I am getting this opportunity because of all of you, and recent conflicts have brought us a number of lessons. One of the biggest lessons, if you saw in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, was that sustaining military capability depends not just on the platform, but on uninterrupted availability of ammunition, missiles, drones, electronic components, semiconductors, spare parts and inter-sale production capacity. Sir, you are from Airbus. I will bring everything down to a small little connect. That if a crane goes inside water more than unintended depth for just 5 minutes, what all systems can go wrong? It cannot be set right on the field at all. So you will have to have that understanding that geopolitical realities don't allow you time. Don't allow you time. Supply chain has to be on the run. And he is aware that India had to fly a defense secretary who was a Sena medal for going to France and asking the allowed supply chain to be open. Because we fly Cheetah and Chetaks, which are 35 years beyond their extended life thought process. So the need is to have the supply chain to be designed in India, developed in India, make in India, sustain in India, upgrade in India. Because strategic autonomy is a big word. Supply chain is a real, small, practical connect. Inescapable. Traditionally, we visualize a supply chain as a network. Whereas in the defense services, it is a capability discovery network. Occasionally during Kargil doesn't come after telling you that tomorrow is going to be Kargil. Sindhu didn't come after telling you that tomorrow is going to be Sindhu. It is on top of you. You have to immediately react from where you will source what. You have got Eastern European avionics being supported by Western country fitments. Eastern European hardware with Western software, various combinations. Now, India does not suffer from a shortage of Indian engineering talent, nor do we lack innovation. Verma sir, I have completed 1 minute. So across our industries, startups, MSMEs, laboratories and academic institutions, extraordinary capabilities exist. Our challenge is different. Our challenge is to discover them. Sir, when you came and received the first award here, just today, I found that means it is there in this very room, elephant in the room. Every modern defense platform is fundamentally an integration of technologies. Electronics, AI, sensor, secure comms, cyber security, advanced materials, embedded software, precision engineering, manufacturing excellence, system integration. Electronics today is not merely an industrial sector. It is an invisible nervous system. Sanjay Verma sir brought it in the opening. Yesterday that Meiti officer also brought it out. An armored vehicle, a missile system, a logistics platform or critical infra, you need intelligence, and that is provided by electronics, right from the remote at your home till when aircraft has to be made on road after a snag. Such capabilities are reassuring when we understand that they are possible within our own ecosystem. These kind of seminars, I was trying to go to every little stall, sit there, understand them. There is a little problem which I want to bring it out. The problem is allies in Wonderland. Allies in Wonderland knew allies has to go, but allies did not know where to go. There are things, the connect is most important. Probably 15th year you are trying to do that. So this connect is more and more important. Products change, competencies endure. Once an organization masters precision engineering, embedded electronics, automation, advanced materials, sensor technologies, artificial intelligence. Sir, in DRDO there was one fabric for CBRN where you are aware how much we went through. Now that fabric was available in the US. But there was one company which was making that fabric in India. We had to go and search for it. जुमा मस्जिद में या मंदिर में या मेट्रो स्टेशन यशवंतपुर में नहीं बैठा है कोई कि आ जाओ मेरे से कनेक्ट कर लो, या तो मोहम्मद साहब को माउंट अबू के पास जाना होगा या माउंट अबू को मोहम्मद साहब के पास जाना होगा. मिलन. इट्स अ डेटा कनेक्ट विच इज इंपॉर्टेंट. पास फॉर अ मोमेंट, कंसिडर एक अगर एयरक्राफ्ट को मैन्युफैक्चर करना हो तो यू विल हैव अ ह्यूज हॉल, यू विल हैव अ एयरक्राफ्ट डोर. दैट डोर विल बी 20 meters high, 50 meters wide, 100 square meter, weighing hundreds of tons, expected to move with millimeter precision. Otherwise, you will appreciate, sir, it will not be able to withstand the dust, the kind of disturbances. It has to operate safely, with safety, thousands of times. It has to be maintained in controlled environmental conditions. I found that there was a company called Jugapro Doors. They started going pretty much into, lot of electronics. They kept R&D is infectious. Once you start spending money on R&D, you don't question only, then you again spend. Because you are understanding that spending, persistently spending, then you know where the gap is and you know how much more gap has to be maintained. There are companies like Tata Tractors India Limited, which was originally Caterpillar India Limited. I interacted with them. They went into embedded electronics, distributed sensors, intelligent control systems, predictive maintenance, secure software. Now, in Internet of Things, the point is that every company can elevate itself notches and notches higher. The moment precision, reliability, and autonomous operations are understood, electronics is only a part of it. The competencies remain the same. That company also I found with hydraulic systems, load dynamics, and fabrication with precision, with digital controls. I went and saw them. They are improving every year. So it is an ecosystem. It is not a question of in operator safety, in predictive diagnostics, in remote operations. You are finding that it is very, very important to have sensor-driven, electronics-driven, innovation-driven improvements and upgrades which will actually support the supply chain. Aerospace, naval systems, 1 minute, sir. Aerospace, naval systems, and where I am trying to focus in my concluding part of it is a small little thing, that everything need not be covered by an officer like me here. But if a national effort identifies a Section 8 company in Bombay, IIT, in Chennai, IIT, so they become nodes, let us say, of AI, crypto, litho. You have got so many things. Now what happens? He said, all that you need to do is curate your approach to the problem statement like what General Mann had flashed. See where you can contribute till where, leave the gaps critically clearly open, and make a proposal to institutions like Pravartak. People like us can step in, fill the dots, connect the puzzle. So, ladies and gentlemen, I attempted to provoke, put in place the opening. We many times do not know what we need in defense. The moment the problem has erupted, we exactly know what we need. So there is an anticipatory supply chain network that needs to be built up, and that will come up only by capacity building. That will come up by hand-holding. And organizations like Pravartak need not sell themselves. They are sitting in the room for collaboration. Thank you.
Thanks, Brigadier Muthu. Thank you very much. In fact, he's given a right connect to that, how organizations can join together and make sure that the supply chain is resilient. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why I invited the initial thing from the defense was, you would appreciate that when I'm sitting on the border, when I'm sitting across the LC or LAC, I don't have a second choice. I don't have a second time. I just have one chance and I have to prove and look after interests of the nation. So there, I don't see any failure. So I have to build in redundancy after redundancy, whether it is for my skill, whether it is for my weapon, whether it is for my ammunition, whether it is for my transportation, whether it is for my communication. Just imagine. I cannot say there that I cannot do it. Fine. Now let us hear from the industry stalwarts, because the challenge is faced by them. I would invite Mr. Robert D. John, who is the previous president of ELCINA, a very respected industrialist. So what I would like to know from you is, you've been facing all these challenges as you've grown in these. What are the strategies you adopt to make sure that the supply chain is resilient, is robust, and also at the same time diversified? Because definitely it comes with a cost, time, and all other issues.
In our industry that we serve, strategic electronics, it is talking about a precision electronics industry. It demands a lot of perfection, at the same time very critical materials. When we face these battles or challenges in our company, we have found that there are some materials that are so limited in nature. There are only maybe one supplier or two suppliers in the world. And so I feel from India's resilience perspective, our focus on building the strong material and critical material availability is very critical for our strategic electronics. I'll just give you one example from one or two examples. We are developing a special connector for the engines of the aircrafts, whether it's fighter or it is. But there are some very critical elements of raw material that are required to produce that particular engine connector, like a beryllium nickel. The supply takes about 56 to 60 weeks to supply the material. It's like more than a year. You've got to do a lot of planning and inventory storage to support this kind of demand. So these are some challenges. I'm just talking about one element. Similarly, when we are trying to support manufacturing of BrahMos missiles, for instance, we source a lot of material from East European countries, whether it's Ukraine or Russia. And when you have a geopolitical crisis, your supply chain is totally affected. Then you have to find solutions, alternatives, and then you have to get it again qualified with the customer. These are all efforts that you need to do to make it happen. And like he said very clearly that in our situation, you have to find the solution to make it happen. So in this journey over time, we have evolved a process by which either we try to localize or indigenize, or we find suitable alternates of reliable companies so that we can support our end customer in their journey of the product supplies. So like that, there are many challenges that you face in terms of this thing. I'll give another example to you in terms of even machines. When you make machines which are requiring for very high precision electronics, even when you're trying to import it from Japan or anywhere, our country is not on a very easy list you can import. It goes through a long process of justification to import such machines of precision engineering because they can be used for weapons of mass destruction. So it's not easy also to import machines. So the strategic electronics component manufacturing sector, I feel, face a lot of challenges, and we need to really strengthen the Make in India initiative as well as try to over time evolve. India is taking a lot of measures. I must say that when I was the past president, I remember we were telling about the importance of electronics sector, and it will far outstrip our kind of forex demand. So we were suggesting to the government to invest in many sectors and to support them so that we can have a strong electronics sector to support this manufacturing. We missed the semiconductor bus, but today the government is taking a lot of steps to improve upon that particular element. Similarly, in many areas, I feel the government needs to have a different approach so that the country can be self-reliant.
Thank you, thank you. In fact, you mentioned in the end about we missed the bus in the semiconductor mission. You'll all be very happy to know that in the ISM 2, the defense has been co-opted as an advisor. Because for a number of years, the industry did not know that what are the strategic electronics which go into the defense system, and whether it is Bharat Electronics, ECIL, BHEL, BEML. I mean, those components were not available off the shelf anywhere here. And like yesterday I had mentioned in my address and when I was talking, that the importance of defense in the supply chain of electronics, I have seen it evolving in this very platform. A few years back, we never were speaking about the defense electronics, but now we are. So that point very well taken. Now, because the system is as good as the last transistor or last semiconductor, not a transistor, but a semiconductor today. If a small chip is not coming, the entire tank or the entire aircraft is not functional. So you have to take care of everything. Now, what has happened is over a period of time, supply chain is a maze of things, right? From forecasting to the demand, to manufacturing, to warehousing, to transport. It's a complex maze. But I think over a period of time, these technologies have eased some sort of challenges which come in the managing the supply chain. Ankur, your Airbus has a footprint the world over. What is your perspective on handling these supply chain disruptions, and how do you think technology has helped or come as an aid to solve the supply chain problems?
Namaskar, everybody. Namaskar, everybody. Thank you, ELCINA, for this opportunity. Rajuji, thank you so much. Sir, if I'll just take a couple of minutes to present Airbus in India first and then get down to addressing your queries. So, ladies and gentlemen, gives me immense pride to say that Airbus is the only private company in the world to have 2 final assembly lines in India. So if anyone has actually subscribed to the motto of Make in India in letter and spirit, I think Airbus should be one of the biggest examples. We have 1 final assembly line running, not under construction, running in Vadodara for the C295 transport aircraft. The first Indian-made C295 military transport aircraft will fly out before the end of this calendar year. The second final assembly line that is again up and running is the H125 helicopter. I'm sure some of us have had the opportunity to use this platform when we have done religious tourism to Vaishno Devi, Amarnath Ji, etc. You would have flown in an H125. I'm very proud to say that now that will be manufactured in India. The first helicopter made in India should fly out early next year. So Airbus has more than 3,700 people in India. The largest engineering center outside of Europe is based in India. And the C295 program specifically is the first time that the private sector will make a complete military aerospace platform, and it will fly out from the facility. It will not leave on a truck. It will not go in parts. It is built here, it is certified here, and it will fly here. All right. Now to come to your query, sir. Let's face it, nobody likes supply chain disruptions, least of all us. It impacts our deliveries, it impacts our credibility, it impacts costs. You name the factor in production and it gets hit. Uh, if you look at our civil aerospace, yes, everyone knows we have a multi-year order book for the A320, the A350, etc. But with that order book comes a responsibility. You have to deliver that aircraft to the airline on time. You cannot say that there is a war in some part of the world and I cannot deliver the aircraft to you. Because the airline has been waiting for 3, 5, 7 years for that platform, and then you'll end up saying you can't do it. For military, for the C295, we signed the contract in 2021. We have to deliver the first Indian-made aircraft this year. And that is where industrial partnerships come into play. These two final assembly lines, they have been set up specifically by our industrial partner, the Tata Group, TASL to be specific, and we rely heavily on their capability and capacity. We have done things in the C295 in India which had never happened previously in this country. An aircraft which was never previously made here, a supply chain which did not exist. It is with the confidence and capability of our partner, who we worked with very deeply and continue to do so. We have made the impossible almost possible now. As far as technology in supply chain goes, I'll give you an example. During COVID, how would you manage to deliver an aircraft? When people can't fly to your location, how will you deliver an aircraft? We actually did it virtually. We devised a way in a matter of days to deliver a complete aircraft virtually. We were sourcing titanium from one of the biggest countries in the world, which has been in conflict for the last 4+ years. That conflict started, and overnight, one of our largest suppliers of titanium disappeared. And a large part of an aircraft, military or civil, titanium is there. Overnight, one of your largest suppliers disappears, and you are sitting on an order book for of 8, 9, 10 years. What do? Technology comes into play. You are going to be virtually assessing replacement suppliers, virtually assessing them. To become an Airbus supplier takes a minimum of 15 to 18 months. And now, put a layer of technology and having to do it virtually because you cannot travel. The entire Middle East airspace is closed. How do you get to India? But we need to deliver the aircraft. We have a contract. It's as simple as that. So artificial intelligence is playing a big role. We are building digital twins. We are doing tracking of our materials through RFIDs. So all of these technological blocks are being integrated into the supply chain. It's not only making us, I would say, more secure for the future, but it's also helping in our partnerships. It's telling our partners that we trust them and to do more of the things on their own, and we can depend on them for the long run. That's it from my side, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankur. I was just wanting to hear those technological innovations which have come in, getting out-of-box solutions to make your supply chain resilient. And Ankur, in a lighter vein, I wish I was in service when you would have produced this aircraft, because I'm a paratrooper. So I've jumped from Dakota, I've jumped from AN-32, I've jumped from IL-76, but I wish I could have jumped from C295 also. Anyway, and congratulations to you. We are very proud that the aircraft and the helicopters will be manufactured in India, are being manufactured. Now, I'll turn to another industry stalwart, Mr. Subramanyam. In fact, these are people who have seen the supply chain right from the evolution of the shop floors, as we say, the assembly lines, to what it is today. So from your perspective, Mr. Subramanyam, how do you think, what are the future trends in the evolution of industrial supply chains?
Yeah, am I audible? Good afternoon to everyone. I had prepared some slides for presentation, but I would, in the interest of time, skip the presentation. It's okay, I will sit, no, it's okay. I will sit here and speak. We are a Indian company. In about 20 years from scratch, we have built a company which would be about 1,000 crores this year. And our plan in the next 5 years to reach something like 5,000 crores. Yeah, 75% of our turnover gets exported. So it has been easier for us to do exports than to meet the expectations in the domestic market. Yeah, this also explains certain viewpoints, certain opinions that we talk about during this panel discussions. We are speaking here about aerospace and defense as the strategic electronics. So in SASMOS, we have been known in the recent years. Initial years, we have been known as a wiring harness company, but we have grown beyond that. We have started designing wiring harnesses for international aircraft manufacturers. We are designing for Deutsche Aircrafts. We are also taking part in AVTOL project from a Japanese customer. So we design electrical systems for them. We design parts, boxes for them. So where does these things bring us to this panel discussion here? The characterization of aerospace and defense supply chain, in my opinion, it's by 3 points. One is low volumes. The second one is about certifications. And third one is, lack of standardization. Yeah, these three issues define, and these three issues also differentiate us from others. Now, low volumes, we don't complain about it, though it's not directly connected to this subject of the panel here. The low volumes are the ones which are getting us opportunities in business. Yeah, the low volumes come in the way of large-scale automation, and when foreign clients are not able to make large-scale automation, when they depend on people, even in foreign countries, that's a big opportunity for companies like us, where human talent in India is in abundance. So outsourcing from foreign clients into Indian companies is a result of this requirement of low volume. So we don't complain about low volumes. Low volumes are good for us. But it cannot be said the same thing about the other two issues, about certifications and about lack of standardization. Everything is expected. Yeah, people expect that we do a lot of R&D. Indian companies spend resources on R&D. They do basic research. They come up with products and go to certifying agencies, get them certified, then give a spread of these products to the Indian defense forces, to Indian customers. Yeah, but then in this whole model that I said, it's very, very difficult to scale up. If an entrepreneur starts something like this, an R&D, he'll be more focused on only developing a product, and his formative years will be lost. The business doesn't increase. So there are also other models, there are also other approaches, and we would like to focus on something else, not exactly bring up a product and get a certification. If you have to build an ecosystem where we can encourage more engineering, I wouldn't say basic R&D, but encourage more engineering, the government and also the clients can force the foreign suppliers who are supplying platforms to the governments to involve Indian companies more in doing engineering work. Yeah? Need not be basically the R&D work where you have a product and you get certified, but you could do an engineering support for these foreign companies, and that's where you can scale up. Yeah, the resources that we have in the company will help us in scaling this up. Yes, this may not be an exact point in the direction of building up a nation for the future, for the next 50 years, but certainly this is a point how companies like us have survived, and we have now, after having worked for 20 years, now we have some muscle power to do what we want. To come to this level, you need certainly some alternate paths. This is what I wanted to say about the certification. The third point about lack of standardization, don't have to explain that. I think this whole supply chain is made so complex by everybody playing in. Everybody here wants to survive, want to succeed, so they want to maintain their uniqueness. So every time you have a platform, you have multiple suppliers. certifying multiple suppliers, getting their products into that platform, and till the platform is there in production, till the end, you have to only go to those suppliers. So for suppliers like us, system integrators, yeah, the further suppliers are always defined by our customers. Yeah, it's very little chance for us to build redundancies. It is very little chance for us to establish new suppliers. The only way to build redundancy is to have more inventories, and that's not going to help companies like us. These are the specialities of these supply chains, and yeah, we have to learn to live with them, and we have to see how to succeed and get some muscle power, try to become bigger as Indian companies. Then we can also contribute further later on in our journey.
Thank you. You actually brought out very important issues because you see in traditional, what are the traditional challenges in managing a supply chain, whether it is global, whether it is industrial. Each sector will have its own challenges. Each sector, I mean, you cannot. But, and each of those challenges, like I spoke about, the forecasting, the demand, the warehouse, the inventory, the skilling, the transportation, and so on. But a few intricacies which Mr. Subramaniam brought out are very relevant. Low volumes, lack of standardization, testing, certification. So these are actually inherent challenges in the arena which we are talking about, whether it is defense electronics or whether it is any electronics. These issues will always remain a challenge and add to the complexity of the supply chain management. In fact, it is very interesting. I mean, a few years back, or about, say, 4 or 5 decades back, or rather when we were growing up, 60s, 70s, 80s, I mean, it was not a globalized world. It was, so we were all isolated, we were in our own worlds. And then we went into globalization. And in my generation is seeing, from globalization, again, we are turning into localization. Now the stress is that you have to be coming up. So it's not only in India, even EU has mandated a localization, 35%. USA does the localization that this has to be indigenized. Now this becomes again a challenge. What to localize and what to globalize. Now, one question which I would like to ask you, Mr. Robert, how do you build sustainability issues in supply chain?
If you ask about sustainability, it's a challenge. It cannot be sort of, as the problem arises and you start thinking ahead of certain critical processes or elements, you start planning with diversified suppliers, maybe having more than one supplier for a critical element or for a particular process. Also, you tend to find out maybe is there an alternate process to overcome the challenge. So we need to build sustainability in virtually in every aspect of the entire flow to ensure that we are in a position to deliver. And that becomes critical. So we keep on having a model of discussion within the company to overcome, to find out what are our kind of critical or risk elements in our production flow processes. And then we develop alternative solutions to overcome those issues.
Thank you. Now, one question which, Ankur, I would like to ask you is, because you, like I said earlier also, with a global footprint, there would be a temptation that, okay, there is a certain item which is being sourced from a place, it is being made there for a number of years. Why should you reinvent the process again in a different place where you are working? Now, given the imperatives of localization, maybe of building a redundancy, how do you strike this balance? And in India, how are you promoting local joint ventures, collaborations, or the ecosystem around your manufacturing plant?
Thank you, sir. Sir, if I just take the first part of your query, that activity has been happening in a specific geography for decades, why would I want to reinvent the wheel and bring it? Sir, if I were to firmly subscribe to that, then I would not be doing any activity in India. It would only be confined to Europe and maybe some other geographies. But that's not the case, sir. Airbus today does over $1 billion worth of sourcing from India. We are directly working with maybe 30, 40, 50 suppliers. But please understand, we are an integrator. I cannot be buying every small part on my own. I give out a complete package to an Indian supplier. That Indian supplier then has to develop its own supply chain to meet my requirement. And that is how the flow down happens. So yes, Airbus is not working with 5,000 suppliers, but maybe we are supporting 150 of them. Now, what is it that I need from my supplier? There are certain imperatives. You have to deliver on cost. I did not say price, on cost, because it is a cost for me. You have to deliver on quality. And you have to deliver on time. This is non-negotiable. It cannot be 99% there. It has to be 100% every time. I cannot be putting a 99% okay part in a defense equipment, and I cannot put a 99.9% okay part in a civil equipment. It does not work that way. 100% checks are done. That is the reason why it takes not weeks or days or months, but more than a year to become an Airbus qualified supplier. Because it is tough. In India, we have met the challenge of localization head on. In the C295, you will find it very surprising. It was for me as well when we started the program. Not only do we have to make a make in India requirement on the platform, we also have an offset obligation. So we are doing both in this specific program, and we are meeting that challenge every day. We are qualifying suppliers, we are doing activities, we are buying parts, not only for the C295, but for our other global platforms as well. India was never known as an area where you can buy aerospace training devices. We were never known for that. Mechanical parts, yes, but never known for training devices. Airbus has taken the initiative to develop that. Another area I'd like to highlight to everybody here is raw materials. You can do all the assembly work in the country, but if you don't own the raw material, more than 50% of the value of the product is out of your hands. I'm not mincing any words. More than 50% of the value of the product is not within the country's hands or the company's hands if the raw material is not from here. And today we import practically 95% or above of our raw material requirements in India. Airbus has now taken it upon itself to develop India as a material supplying source that meets aerospace standards and defense quality. So be it castings, be it forgings, these are things you do not see. They are hidden far inside the platform over many, many layers. But without that, the platform cannot come into being. The same goes for electronics. We may not have spent a lot of time on electronics right now, but some of our largest suppliers of electronic products are doing very deep and engaged activities in India. And these are all large suppliers from the US and from Europe who form part of our electronic backbone, because we don't make the avionics, we don't make the radios, we don't make that ourselves, we buy it from them. But they are doing a lot of work in India to meet our requirements. When we put stringent requirements, our suppliers, our vendors, our tier one partners, they come to the fore and they develop the supply chain so that our goals are met. Thank you.
Thank you. In fact, you raised the issue of materials. There is another hidden elephant in the room. You may have materials, you may have manufacturing facility, you may skill. Will you be able to actually, do you have skilled manpower? That is also part of a supply chain. Number of times I have seen that we have the machinery manufacturing, but you need people who are skilled, and in certain very, very niche areas, it requires high levels of expertise. Now, Brigadier Muthu, just maybe a closing remark or a one-liner in how we have seen, both of us have been in this service when they were actually, we were moving on 3 tons and 1 ton, and now we have the best of. What do you think good has happened to the supply chain, which is proving very good for the Indian Defence Forces?
Hello. Sir, pertinent question, thanks. One immediate point that comes to my mind is, sir, you remember that when we used to buy anything, we used to ask for a MRLS. manufacturer's recommended list
List
of
of
spares.
spares.
Now, sir, when a niche equipment is coming in, you don't have a clue as to what it has to have in the MRLS. It is just an idea that all this will get consumed. Many times it will not be. And then that has been stacked. And mostly European Union items, or it's not a question of. So now what is happening, sir? EME officers are sitting here, predictive, AI-based predictive forecasting. And that kind of earmarking has started. So now what has happened is that lots of, in recent procurement, we have gone for, even for cranes, we have asked for feedback as to what has been the pattern, what has been the. So now what will happen is, when you have trusted partners, when you have some predictive forecasting, when you have AI-enabled demand forecasting, then when you juxtapose it, just in time you will be able to get the item out of the market.
Excellent. I think a very pertinent point made. What he was alluding to is that, I mean, when we stock up a lot of spares, which is based on the manufacturer recommended list of spares, because you don't know how the equipment will be used, what will be the attrition, what will be the requirement of spares, how will the global supply chain help me. Now, because of these tools, I can, along with the manufacturer or with the producer, build up credible data on these things and be very assured that I will not be let down when there is a problem. As a closing remark, Mr. Subramanya, what you'd like to say? Yes, sir. Let me have the closing remark, then I'll ask you the question, sir. A closing remark so that.
So I would like to just touch upon another topic, small topic about AI in developing supply chain. Yeah, all of us hear continuously now everything about AI, and this is going to invade every sphere, and it's going to improve the value of work that we are doing. But unfortunately, in our supply chain, we are still in the initial stages, and I have seen many companies which still use AI for just getting information about who are all the suppliers available for this product, who are all, what certifications do they have. And this also is something very important for us, and this also can change the way supply chains behave and supply chains work in India. So AI is going to come, we should make use of it, and it can be made use of in the initial periods itself to make ourselves more efficient, and we have to keep looking at it. This is my concluding remark for this.
Thank you, very pertinent. Mr. Robert, would you like to, with the closing remark for the supply chains?
Yeah, my closing remark is that to make a very strong and self-sustainable or resilient India is that start focusing on making products which can be catered to the whole world, so that you improve your capabilities in such a manner that you can accept any challenge for your Indian market too.
Thank you. I'll just permit two questions. One, Captain Sharma, you wanted to make a comment?
It's not a question. It is just adding information for the forum. You brought out a very valid point. Indigenization and being self-sufficient is appears to be 100% of the problem today. But what about the reliability and support, which we in the Navy call PLCS, Product Life Cycle Support? What about that? I have undergone personally these difficulties on field at high seas when the ship is rising 20 meters and everybody is vomiting their guts out. In stormy seas, we are trying to repair an equipment. The documentation is inadequate. The documentation not only includes the operating manual, it includes the maintenance part, it includes the list of spares, and it includes a whole lot of other things. So there is so much of time and effort is spent in, developing standards on how documentations are to be made. So these, the bottom line is, when you are designing your equipment, please think from the point of view of the user. In case your equipment gets accepted 10 years, 20 years down the line, that how will the user use your equipment in all these manners that I just said.
Thank you very much. Very relevant. Somebody wanted to ask, please.
Sir, the supply group, you said some 50 or 60 groups supply for Airbus or to develop our own aircrafts and all. Many components are factory calibrated, and he will give you a calibration chart. He will provide you with a calibration chart. Do we need to again retest them and recalibrate them before integrating into the aircraft? Because the factory calibration he has done under certain controlled conditions. So again, we have to recalibrate, especially for control loss and other things. The control loss.
Thank you for your question, sir. Sir, it's quite technical in nature, but I can assure you that any part that goes onto one of our platforms has been tested in all possible conditions and maybe even beyond. As far as calibration goes, sir, any equipment, any tooling, any instrument that is used for the manufacture or the measurement of the parts and systems that go on board our platforms, the calibration is also maintained at global standards. So if that particular process requires factory calibration or delivery site calibration, etc., then it will be done, sir. But it depends on case to case.
Thank you,
Thank you, sir.
very much. Thank you to my distinguished co-panelists. We are there available with you all over lunch. I would like to convey my sincere gratitude and thanks to ELCINA. Year after year, I have been here. And yes, it happens because of unforeseen events. The delay becomes cascading, and I will not hold you for lunch. And thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause for our moderator and our panelists for the seamless session. May I now request Mr. Rajiv Venkataraman, the Vice President, ELCINA, MDPEC Manufacturing Company, Hyderabad, to please join us on the stage to hand over the memento as a token of gratitude and appreciation. Lieutenant General Sanjay Verma, thank you, sir, for an insightful session. Mr. Robert John, CEO and Director, Amphenol Interconnect India. Thank you once again for sharing your thoughts. Mr. Subramanya Ullal, Member Board of Directors, SAMSOS Head Technologies Limited. Mr. Ankur Gupta, Director of Strategy, International and Industrial Partnerships, Airbus Defence and Space. Brigadier Dr. Ganesan Muthukumar. Sir, thank you once again for your thoughts on building a supply chain for the Indian private sector platform manufacturers. Can we all come together for the group photograph?